Hello, elementary school students across America and on United States military bases around the world. Michael T. Mondak back with you, TGIF. And today I come to you virtually from the south shores of Lake Tahoe in Stateline, Nevada. As if you haven't been with us the last nearly 3 weeks, you know I've been reading one picture book to you, your teachers, and your parents. Let me give you a teaser as to what I'm about to read. Has you run into a situation with someone where they've been watching too much TV, might turn them into a couch potato, and they're determined to make you change, make the person, and you and your friends are determined to make them change before it's too late? Well, the great Gonzo was the center of such a situation, and his friends were determined to make him change before they had to intervene. Well, it's the basic storyline of the Muppet Kids in TV or not TV, with a storyline by Miss Anne Brown and illustrations by Monsieur Tom Lee. If you're ready, let's get started. When the last school bell rang on Monday afternoon, Kermit jumped out of his seat and hurried over to Fozzie and Janice. "Time to go," he said. "We've got lots of homework, and I have to run some errands for my mom later on." "We'll walk home with you too," said Scooter and Skeeter, joining them. Janice nodded. "Let's go." Kermit looked around. "Wait a minute," he said. "Where's Gonzo?" "He's already gone," Skeeter said. "He's been disappearing right after class for weeks now." "Have you noticed anything strange about Gonzo?" Piggy asked, coming over. "I mean, stranger than usual?" "Yeah," said Fozzie. "Sometimes he doesn't seem to hear me when I talk to him. And he has this funny way of staring straight in front of him all the time," Scooter added. "I wonder if something's wrong." "Well," said Janice, "there's only one way to find out. Let's go over to his house and ask him." Janice led the others out of the schoolyard and down the block to Gonzo's house. She rang the doorbell and waited. After a while, Kermit said, "Oh, I guess Gonzo's not home." "Yes, he is," said Piggy, looking in Gonzo's front window. "Look, he's right there on the floor in front of the TV." Janice peered over Piggy's shoulder. "Uh-oh," she said. I think I know what's the matter with Gonzo." "What?" Kermit asked. "Gonzo," Janice replied, "has a bad case of static." "What? Static? What's that?" asked Fozzie. "Stands for somewhat terribly awful television-itis condition," said Janice. "Gonzo looks like he's got it bad." "You mean Gonzo's been acting like this because of television?" asked Kermit. "That's right," Janice told him. "That's what happens when you watch TV all the time. My brother Jasper was acting just the same as Gonzo last fall. Not paying attention to anyone, not doing his homework, never going outside. He just sat in front of the TV day and night." "Well, what did you do?" asked Piggy. "We were lucky," Janice said. "He finally snapped out of it." "But that could take a long time," said Kermit. "We've got to try to help." "We can start by talking to Gonzo." Janice suggested. Janice led the others through the front door and into the living room. Then they all stood in front of the TV screen so Gonzo couldn't see it. Janice tapped Gonzo on the shoulder. "Gonzo," she said. "Gonzo!" Gonzo didn't move. He just stared at the place where the TV was, even though he couldn't see it. Janice snapped her fingers in front of Gonzo's eyes. Gonzo blinked. Then he blinked again and muttered something. "What did he say?" Piggy whispered. "I think he said, 'Micro Mouse, the world's only expert computer rodent, will be back this time next week,'" said Kermit. "This is seriously serious," Janice sighed. "What do we do now?" asked Flossie. "There's not much we can do," said Janice, "except keep trying to get through to him. If he can't, Gonzo may never be the same again." But over the next few days, Gonzo seemed to get even worse. When Mr. Bumper called on him in class and asked him who the first president of the United States was, Gonzo didn't know the answer. In fact, he hadn't even heard the question. Later, in gym class, Kermit was tying his shoelace when somebody threw him a volleyball. It headed straight for Gonzo. "Duck, Gonzo! Duck!" yelled Kermit. But Gonzo didn't duck. He just stood there as it bonked him on the head. Gonzo didn't talk to anyone. He didn't do his homework. He just vanished after school each afternoon. Kermit and Janice stopped by his house a few times, but they always found him in front of the television set. He didn't want to play. He didn't want to practice softball. He didn't want to do anything but watch TV. "Even I miss the old Gonzo," said Piggy. "He used to be fun. He used to be silly. He used to be Gonzo," everyone said together. On Saturday, a lot of the kids from school were going on a field trip into the mountains. Mr. Bumper and Ms. Crick, the gym teacher, were taking them. They were going hiking, and there was a picnic too. And then they were going to stay out late and look at the stars. On their way over to the school parking lot, Kermit and Janice stopped by Gonzo's house. "Maybe he'll want to come," Kermit said hopefully. "Hi, Gonzo," said Janice as they walked into the living room. "Are you coming hiking with us?" "It's going to be a great day," Kermit added. "I don't think so," said Gonzo absently, staring at the TV. "I give up," said Janice with a sigh. "We can't drag him with us. He's just going to miss a great time." "He's going to miss a lot of great times if this keeps up," Kermit shook his head sadly. Then he and Janice left. As they closed the door, Gonzo looked up for just a moment. There was a funny expression on his face. But then he went right back to watching TV. Gonzo watched TV all that morning. But early in the afternoon, during the Chippy the Chipmunk show, there was a loud pop, and the TV set suddenly went blank. I'm not surprised," his grandmother said, coming into the living room. "Probably worn it out." "Can you get it fixed, Grandma?" Gonzo said desperately. "I'll call the repair shop," his grandmother replied. "Shouldn't take more than a week." "A week?" Gonzo shouted in despair. "What will I do?" "How about spending some time with your friends again?" Gonzo's grandmother suggested gently. Gonzo sat there for a moment. "I missed them, the grandma," he finally said. "I missed them a lot, and I've been missing a lot of other things too, including during my homework. I don't know what happened. I started watching cartoons a week ago, then I didn't feel like doing my homework, so I watched more TV, and there was this movie on, then more cartoons. Then after school and before supper, and after supper and then, just didn't seem to stop. Well, now it has, Gonzo's grandmother said briskly. So, why don't we take a ride and see if we can find your friends? I heard Janice say something about a school trip. Great, said Gonzo happily. Gonzo got to the campsite just as everyone was roasting marshmallows. Gonzo, what are you doing here? Janice said, astonished. The TV broke, Gonzo said sheepishly. And I realized I hadn't seen you guys in a while, and I thought, Gonzo, you're cured, Kermit shouted happily. Cured? Gonzo asked. What am I cured of? Static, my man. Static, said Janice. You've had a serious case of too much television. You knew about it, huh? Gonzo hung his head. Yeah, said Janice. We were afraid we'd never see our old friend Gonzo back again. It's about time you came back, Piggy said happily. Well, speaking of time, what time is it? Asked Kermit. Mr. Bumper said that sunset was at 6:30. Gonzo looked at his watch. Ooh, it's almost 6 o'clock. Then he got a wistful look in his eyes. That means it's time for the Lester Lemonade Upside Down Inside Out Magic Show. Uh-oh, said Janice. Must be the last signs of static. Gonzo looked at his friends. Then he shook his head. I'd much rather be with you than watching TV, he finally said. Besides, he added, brightening, the TV set is broken. You know, it's all right to watch TV, Janice told him, as long as you don't go overboard. I guess, Gonzo replied, but I think it's safer for now if I don't watch at all, at least for a while. That evening, as everyone looked up at the stars and Mr. Bumper pointed out the constellations, Janice and Kermit came over to Gonzo. I'm really glad you're back, Kermit said, putting his arm around Gonzo's shoulders. We missed you. Janice nodded. We sure did. You seem farther away than Mars, she said, pointing to the sky. Gonzo smiled. Well, I wasn't quite that far, but it sure is great to be back. And he meant it. That, my friends, is TV or not TV. Enjoy the weekend. Be back with you on Monday, same time, same place, same channel.